I spent 40 years serving the Toronto Police Service, and I thought I'd seen every kind of betrayal imaginable. Murderers who smiled at their victims, con artists who targeted the elderly, partners who turned on each other for money. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what my own son tried to do to me at my retirement party last month. Drop your location in the comments below. I'd love to know where you're watching from. My name is Robert McKenzie, and at 65 years old, I was finally hanging up my detective's badge. 40 years on the force. Started as a beat cop in Scarborough, worked my way up through homicide, spent the last 15 years in major crimes. I'd put away murderers, drug dealers, organized crime figures. I'd been shot at twice, stabbed once, and I'd saved more lives than I could count. The department threw me a retirement party at the precinct, but my wife Claire insisted on a proper family celebration the following weekend at our cottage up in Muskoka. The cottage had been in my family for 3 generations. My grandfather built it with his own hands back in the 50s, right on the shore of Lake Rousseau. Stone fireplace, cedar walls, a dock that stretched out into water so clear you could see the rocks 20 feet down. Claire and I raised our 2 kids there. Our son Marcus learned to swim off that dock. Our daughter Jennifer caught her first fish there when she was 6. Marcus was 38 now, married to a woman named Vanessa for 5 years. They lived in a fancy condo in Yorkville, the kind with a doorman and granite countertops. Marcus worked in finance, something to do with hedge funds that I never fully understood. He made more money in a year than I made in 5, and he never let me forget it. Not directly, of course. It was always subtle. Comments about finally being able to retire comfortably or asking if Claire and I needed help with bills. It drove me crazy. But Claire always defended him. "He's our son," she'd say. "He's just trying to help." The party was set for Saturday afternoon. Claire had been planning it for weeks. She'd invited about 30 people, mostly family, and a few of my old partners from the force. She'd ordered food from that Italian place we loved in Bracebridge, set up tables on the lawn overlooking the lake, even hired a bartender to mix drinks. She wanted it to be perfect. Marcus and Vanessa arrived Friday night. They'd driven up from Toronto in his BMW, the new one he'd just bought. Vanessa was carrying a designer handbag that probably cost more than my first car. They were all smiles and hugs, congratulating me on my retirement, telling me how proud they were. But something felt off. I'd spent 4 decades reading people, learning to spot the tells that separated the innocent from the guilty. And I was seeing tells. Marcus kept checking his phone, texting someone when he thought I wasn't looking. Vanessa seemed nervous, jumpy. She kept touching her necklace, a platinum chain with a diamond pendant, a self-soothing gesture. I'd seen it 1,000 times in interrogation rooms. That night, after dinner, I found Marcus in my study. He was looking at the documents on my desk. Estate planning papers my lawyer had sent over. Nothing secret, just standard retirement stuff. Power of attorney forms, will updates, insurance policies. "Just curious about your plans, Dad?" he said when he noticed me in the doorway. His smile was too bright, too forced. "Making sure you and Mom are all set up?" "We're fine, son. Lawyers got everything handled." He nodded, but his eyes lingered on the papers. "You know, if you ever need help navigating any of this financial stuff, I'm here. That's what I do for a living." "I appreciate that, Marcus. But we're good." Looking back now, that should have been my first real warning, but I pushed it aside. He was my son, my boy. I'd taught him to ride a bike, to throw a baseball, to stand up to bullies. I wanted to believe he was just being helpful. Saturday morning, Claire was in full party mode. She was arranging flowers, setting out chairs, directing the catering staff she'd hired. I helped where I could, but mostly I stayed out of her way. Jennifer arrived around noon with her husband Tom and their 2 kids, my grandchildren. Sarah was 7, little Bobby was 4. They ran straight to the dock, eager to check if the fish were biting. The guests started arriving around 1. My old partner Dave showed up with his wife, a few guys from the neighborhood, Claire's sister, and her family. By 2 o'clock, we had a good crowd going. People were eating, drinking, laughing. The weather was perfect. One of those crystal clear September days you get in cottage country. Warm sun, cool breeze off the lake, leaves just starting to turn orange and red. Around 3, Marcus stood up and called for everyone's attention. He wanted to make a toast. Claire handed him a glass of champagne. The caterer had set up a full bar, but Marcus specifically requested champagne for the toasts. Dom Pérignon, he'd insisted. Nothing but the best for his old man. I had my glass in hand, the champagne bubbling and golden. Everyone gathered around as Marcus started his speech. 40 years ago, my dad put on a badge and made a promise to serve and protect this city, he began. His voice was strong, confident. He'd always been a good speaker. He kept that promise every single day. He missed birthdays, holidays, school events, because he was out there keeping people safe. People nodded. A few of them knew the sacrifices firsthand. But now it's time for him to rest, to enjoy the retirement he's earned, to spend time with family, with the people who love him. I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest. Maybe I'd been wrong about him. Maybe the weird behavior was just stress from work. That's when I saw it. Marcus was standing next to the drinks table, and while everyone was focused on his speech, his hand moved. Subtle, quick, professional, almost. He pulled something from his pocket, a small vial, and tilted it over my champagne glass. Just a quick pour, maybe half a second. Then the vial disappeared back into his pocket. My blood went cold. 40 years of cop instincts kicked in immediately. I didn't react, didn't let my face change. I just watched, studied, analyzed. Marcus picked up my glass, the one he'd just doctored, and started walking toward me. He was still talking, something about family and legacy, but I barely heard the words. My mind was racing. What was in that vial? Sedative? Poison? And why? Why would my son drug me? He handed me the glass. Our eyes met. He smiled, but there was something cold in it. Something I'd seen before, in the eyes of criminals who thought they were smarter than everyone else. I took the glass. Thanks, son. To Dad, he said, raising his own champagne. To 40 years of service, and to the peace and rest he deserves. Everyone raised their glasses. To Robert, they cheered. I lifted my glass to my lips, but I didn't drink. Instead, I pretended to stumble slightly. It wasn't hard. My knee had been bothering me since I took a tumble, chasing a suspect 3 years ago. Whoa, I said, reaching out to steady myself on Marcus's shoulder. In that moment, our glasses were at the same height, inches apart. I switched them, smooth as silk. I'd done sleight of hand work in undercover operations before. Card tricks, shell games, whatever it took to build cover. This was easier. You okay, Dad? Marcus asked, steadying me. Yeah. Just my knee acting up. I straightened up, now holding his clean champagne. His drugged glass was in his hand. He didn't notice. Why would he? He trusted that his old man, the simple cop, wouldn't suspect his own son of anything sinister. Claire finished the toast with a few words about how proud she was, how much we'd built together. Then everyone drank. I took a small sip of the clean champagne. Marcus, eager to get through the toasts and on to whatever came next, downed his in 3 large gulps. I watched him carefully. So did Vanessa. I saw her eyes go wide when she realized he'd drunk the wrong glass. She grabbed his arm, whispered something urgent in his ear. But it was too late. Whatever was in that vial was fast acting. About 5 minutes later, Marcus's face went pale. He started sweating. His pupils dilated. Honey, are you okay? Vanessa asked, loud enough for people nearby to hear. I don't. I feel weird, Marcus said. His words were starting to slur. Dizzy. Maybe you need to sit down, I suggested, playing concerned father. Inside, I was cold as ice, calculating, watching. He sat in one of the lawn chairs. People gathered around, asking if he was all right. Jennifer rushed over with a glass of water. Has this happened before? Claire asked Vanessa. Vanessa's face was a mask of panic. No, never. He's been healthy. I don't understand. That's when a car pulled up the driveway. A silver Audi. A man got out, late 50s, wearing expensive clothes. Not cottage casual city clothes. dress pants, button-down shirt. "I'm Dr. Patterson," he announced, walking straight toward Marcus. "I was in the area. Mrs. Mackenzie called me yesterday, asked if I could stop by to check on Robert's blood pressure medication." He looked at Marcus. "But it seems we have a more immediate situation." Nobody had mentioned Claire calling a doctor, and I knew my wife, she would have told me if she'd invited someone to check on my health. This was planned. This Dr. Patterson was supposed to be here. Patterson knelt beside Marcus, checked his pulse, looked at his eyes. Dilated pupils, rapid heartbeat, confusion. "Has he taken any medication today?" "No," Vanessa said quickly. Too quickly. "Nothing." Patterson stood up, his face grave. "I need to speak with the family privately. This could be serious." We moved inside me, Claire, Vanessa, and Dr. Patterson. Jennifer stayed outside with the guests, trying to keep things calm. Marcus was semi-conscious in the chair, mumbling incoherently. Once we were in the cottage, Patterson turned to me. "Mr. Mackenzie, I'm afraid your son is showing signs of a severe neurological episode. Have you noticed any cognitive decline lately? Memory issues? Confusion?" "What are you talking about?" Claire asked. "Marcus is fine. He's always been fine." "I'm not talking about Marcus," Patterson said slowly. "I'm talking about Robert." The room went silent. "What?" I said. Patterson pulled out a folder from his car. "Mrs. Mackenzie contacted me 3 weeks ago, concerned about your behavior. She mentioned incidents of forgetfulness, mood swings, paranoia." Claire started, but Patterson cut her off. "It's common for family members to be in denial," he said smoothly. "But the symptoms are clear. And now, seeing your son in this state, I believe we're looking at a hereditary condition. Early onset dementia, possibly Alzheimer's." I felt Claire's hand grip my arm. She was scared, confused. She hadn't called this doctor. Someone was lying. "This is ridiculous," I said. "I'm fine. Marcus is the one who—" "Paranoia and defensiveness are also symptoms," Patterson interrupted. He looked at Vanessa. "Has Robert been acting strangely, making accusations, seeming confused about events?" Vanessa nodded, tears in her eyes. "Real or fake, I couldn't tell." "Yes, he's been saying odd things, getting dates mixed up. Last week he forgot Jennifer's birthday entirely." That was a lie. I'd sent Jennifer flowers and called her. But I could see Claire's doubt growing. What if it was true? What if I was losing my mind and didn't know it? "I think we need to run some tests," Patterson said. "For both of you. But in the meantime, someone needs to have medical power of attorney to make decisions if Robert's condition worsens." He pulled out papers, pre-printed forms, all ready to go. "Marcus would be the logical choice," Vanessa said quietly. "He understands legal and financial matters." And there it was, the plan. Drug me, make it look like a medical episode, use a fake doctor to declare me mentally incompetent, transfer power of attorney to Marcus. Then what? Put me in a home? Take control of my assets? The cottage alone was worth over $2 million, plus my pension, savings, investments. But they'd made one critical mistake. They'd assumed I was just an old cop, ready to fade away quietly. I pulled out my phone. "You know what, Dr. Patterson? You're right. We should run tests. Let me call my actual doctor, Dr. Sarah Chen. She's been my physician for 20 years. Patterson's face tightened. "That won't be necessary. I can handle." "I insist," I said firmly. I was already dialing. "Dr. Chen, it's Robert Mackenzie. I need you to come to the cottage. We have a situation." Patterson moved toward the door. "I should check on Marcus." "Stay right there," I said. My voice had changed. "Not concerned, father, anymore. Detective Mackenzie." The voice I used with suspects. "Nobody's going anywhere." I walked to the window. My old partner Dave was outside. I caught his eye, made a subtle gesture we'd used 100 times on the job. "Something's wrong. Need backup." Dave was retired too, but he read the signal immediately. He casually moved closer to Marcus, positioning himself to intervene if needed. "Robert, what are you doing?" Claire asked. "Call it cop instinct, honey. But I don't think Dr. Patterson is who he says he is." I looked at Vanessa. She was shaking, Want to tell me what was in that vial, Vanessa? The one Marcus put in my champagne? Her face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. See? That's the thing about being a detective for 40 years. You learn to read people. You learn to watch hands. And I watched Marcus drug my drink. I held up my phone, already sent a text to my buddy in forensics. He's coming to collect the glass Marcus drank from. We'll know exactly what was in it by tomorrow. Patterson made a move for the door. I stepped in front of him. Robert, let him go, Claire said. You're not well. Claire, honey, I love you, but I need you to trust me right now. This man is not a real doctor. Of course I am, Patterson protested. I have credentials. Then you won't mind if I verify them. What medical school did you attend? What hospital are you affiliated with? He hesitated. Just a second, but it was enough. You know what I think? I continued. I think Marcus hired you to play a role, to show up today, diagnose me with dementia, and provide the medical justification to take control of my affairs. That's insane, Vanessa said, but her voice cracked. Is it? Because here's what doesn't make sense. Why would Claire call a doctor she's never mentioned to me? Why would that doctor just happen to show up right when Marcus has a medical emergency? Why does he have power of attorney forms already printed out? I pulled out my own phone and opened the recording app. I've been recording this conversation, by the way. Every word since we came inside. Patterson's face went from confident to panicked in an instant. Outside, I heard more cars pulling up. Dr. Chen arriving, and someone else. When I looked out the window, I saw a police cruiser. Dave must have called it in. The next few hours were chaos. Dr. Chen examined Marcus and confirmed he'd been drugged with a veterinary sedative called acepromazine. Not fatal, but strong enough to cause confusion, disorientation, and memory problems. The kind of symptoms that might be mistaken for dementia. 2 officers I knew from my days on the force came in. I explained the situation, showed them the recording. They questioned Patterson, whose real name turned out to be Vincent Marsh, a disbarred lawyer who'd lost his license 5 years ago for fraud. He'd been working with Marcus for the past 2 months, setting up this whole scheme. Vanessa broke first. She was scared, crying, confessing everything. Marcus owed money, a lot of money. He'd made some bad investments, lost nearly $500,000 of other people's money. Hedge fund clients who wanted their money back, plus interest. The kind of people who don't just sue, they make threats. Marcus had a plan. Get power of attorney over me, declare me mentally incompetent, force me into a care facility, sell the cottage, liquidate my assets, use the money to pay off his debts. Vanessa knew about it. She'd tried to talk him out of it, she claimed. But he'd convinced her it was the only way. He said you'd be taken care of, Vanessa sobbed. That you'd be in a nice facility, that you wouldn't even know the difference. He said it was for the best. Claire was devastated. She sat in the kitchen, staring at nothing. Our son, our boy, the child we'd raised, loved, sacrificed for, and he'd tried to drug me, steal from me, lock me away. Marcus regained consciousness around 8 that night. The police read him his rights right there in the cottage. Attempted fraud, conspiracy, drugging with intent to harm. Vincent Marsh was arrested too. They'd found text messages on Marcus's phone detailing the whole plan. My daughter Jennifer held her mother while Claire cried. The guests had long since left, the party destroyed. The food sat untouched on the tables. The champagne had gone flat. I stood on the dock, watching the sunset paint the lake in shades of orange and red. Dave came and stood beside me. Hell of a retirement party, Bob, he said quietly. Yeah. You okay? I don't know, Dave. I don't know. He put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. Did I? I'd put my own son in handcuffs. I destroyed my family. For what? Money? A cottage? He made his choice, Dave said, reading my thoughts. You taught him better. He chose wrong. The legal process took months. Marcus was charged with multiple felonies. Vanessa testified against him in exchange for a lighter sentence. Vincent Marsh cut a deal, providing evidence of other scams Marcus had been planning. The trial was brutal. Jennifer testified about how Marcus had asked her questions about my daily routine, my health, my medications, all framing for the incompetency claim. She felt terrible for not seeing it sooner. Claire testified too. Through tears, she described how Marcus had been subtly suggesting I was declining, planting seeds of doubt. Did Dad forget to lock the door again? Did you notice he's been repeating stories? Little things that, in isolation, meant nothing. But together, they built a narrative. Marcus was convicted. 3 years, in a minimum security facility. Could have been worse, but he had no prior record, and his lawyer argued the drug wasn't intended to cause permanent harm. I attended every day of the trial. I looked my son in the eyes when the verdict was read. He didn't look back at me, just stared straight ahead, expressionless. Vanessa got 18 months probation. Vincent Marsh got 5 years. It's been a year now. Claire and I still live in Toronto during the winter, still come up to the cottage in summer. But it's different now, quieter, lonelier. Jennifer visits with the grandkids. They don't ask about their uncle. She told them he moved away for work. I got a letter from Marcus 3 months ago. He's in a facility up near Sudbury. The letter was short, no apology, just an explanation. He was desperate. He panicked. He thought I'd understand, eventually, that I'd forgive him. I haven't written back. I don't know if I ever will. Claire asks me sometimes if I regret it, calling the police, turning in our son, destroying our family. I tell her no. I tell her I did what was right, that justice matters, that nobody's above the law, not even family. But late at night, when I can't sleep, I wonder, could I have handled it differently? Could I have confronted him privately? Given him a chance to back out? Would that have saved us? I don't know the answer. Maybe there is no good answer. I learned a lot in 40 years as a cop. I learned that people are capable of terrible things, that greed corrupts, that trust is fragile. I thought I understood betrayal, but you never really understand it until it's your own son looking you in the eye, handing you a poisoned glass, smiling like he loves you. The cottage is peaceful now. The lake still sparkles in the sunlight, the fish still bite, the grandkids still laugh on the dock. But there's an empty chair at the table, a shadow in every family photo, a question that hangs in the air every time we gather. Was it worth it? I saved my life. I protected my assets. I upheld the law. But I lost my son. And some nights, sitting on this dock, watching the sun set over the water, I wonder if I made the right choice after all. Drop a comment below if you've ever faced a betrayal from someone you loved. How did you handle it? I'd really like to know. Because even now, a year later, I'm still trying to figure out if I did the right thing. The sunset is beautiful tonight. The water is calm. And I'm still here, still standing, still wondering. Some betrayals don't have happy endings. Some wounds don't fully heal. You just learn to live with them. You just keep going. That's all any of us can do.